watch that too. But anyways, we're here with one of the but founders of his own actually musical band, and this is Tony Esco.
How's it going, everybody? It's nice to be here. Nice to be with you guys on a wonderful Sunday.
For sure. So we actually chopped it up the day before, and you showed me a lot of unreleased music, and I wanted to actually tap into that because you showed me a whole playlist, man, where it goes into indie music and then it's like a groovy music, and it's actually really interesting because I feel like I've already interviewed a lot of artists. It could be ghostwriters. It could be actually like, have a musician that's already like stabled. But with you, it's different because when I hear lyrics, there's more to it. I don't know. I feel like it touches my soul a little bit more. But also, too, when I see like your music videos, it's a little bit different than what I've seen before. And I wanted to actually ask, like, how do you get that creative spark directing the music videos?
Man, honestly, like, I feel like since I was very young, I've always had like just multiple ideas, whether it was like me playing video games at an early age professionally and like thinking of like I want to make my own video game. So I started like writing down like a storyline and like drawing characters. I didn't even know how to draw, but I didn't care. Like I never let fear hold me back. But I did all that, and I feel like just imagination, just being born like that. Like I'm not gonna even front and say that like it was a skill that I developed over time, but it was just something that I had since a young age. And I feel like what crafted that was studying music videos, studying the music, seeing what I liked and didn't like, and then trying to take certain aspects and create my own style of that. So like it did come with a lot of practice, and like just understanding the different situations and just different things. Because I feel like lyrics, when you hear a lyric, you get an imagination in your head. And that's where I go with mine. Like when I write my own lyrics, I instantly think of like what the video is going to be. Even if we don't even have a music video for it, like I'm already thinking of it,
Okay. So before I actually go and dive into your music, because I want to touch on that too, because it's super cool what you showed me yesterday. I want to rewind it when you were like maybe 14, 13, 12. So like obviously like during middle school and high school, you're just like, what am I going to be? What do I want to do? How is this going to happen? So like, did you have any thoughts into going pursuing college, beforehand? And did you actually think you were going to do music in college or in the position you are now?
No, to be honest with you. And yes, I did go to college. I'm like 3 classes away from getting my associate's degree. I did have the idea of college just because it was installed with me from my mom because she's a teacher.
Oh, wow.
So like I wanted to be a teacher too. Like that was my goal, is to become a teacher. And then I would say about 14, 15, I was playing a video game called Halo. Like I was addicted to it. So my mom got sick of me just like, all you do is play video games. So she signed me up for a tournament. And it was like for $1,000. And I won that tournament. And then I got sponsored by like Mountain Dew and a couple other video games were different, like with streaming, like back in the day than it is now. It wasn't really like a money generating like way to go, It was a very grinding way. So I got sponsored by a couple things, and I kept going to a bunch of different tournaments, and I was very well known in the Halo community. And I think that sparked in my brain at a young age that you could do whatever you really put your mind to.
Right.
Because I was making good money at that age, and I saved all that money for when I went to college that I never really had to have a job, so.
Oh, wow. So you actually made like a good amount?
I made a good amount, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, I was able to save that money. And like I said, I really focus on just doing whatever I wanted to do at that certain time, And then when I went to college, I think that's when all my friends were in music, like in high school. And like even my bandmates right now that I created this band with, we've all known each other since like 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think going to college, it excelled my music because I was so fucking bored in college that I would just write lyrics all the time.
Okay.
And then unfortunately, I went through like a dark time in my life where my grandfather, who was like my second dad, passed away. And then my dad was given only 1 year to live. And he's living, so cheers to that, still living. But I couldn't focus on academics because I had so much going through my mind.
Okay.
But this was, I believe it was like a calling and a gift, because when I dropped out of college, I started focusing more on music and actually putting the first step through the door by going to a recording studio.
So I know when you started after college, you already had a network. And then I remember yesterday you mentioned how you made your network was through marijuana, which is funny enough, And that was at age of 16, right?
Yeah, so when my dad had that going on and a couple other legal issues, um, I was very well taken care of as a kid. So
Uh-huh.
like around like 15 with Halo, my mom was like, you know, you can't ask us for money no more. Like
Okay.
you got to go do it. So like obviously like playing video games, smoking weed. All my friends smoked weed, so like I bought an eighth and I divided it up into sawbucks. I know people don't know this term, only the older heads do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I divided it into sawbucks and I sold it to
$5, right? Starbucks.
$10.
$10. Okay, okay.
So I sold it to all my friends and I made like $30 in like an hour.
Oh wow.
And I was like, I could fucking do this. You know what I'm saying? So like just being connected. Like I used to get a bunch of different uh, like crops from all my friends because I knew a bunch of older people who sold weed. And so I started selling it to my high school, biking at the Von Stubing, selling it over there. Like I was always known as the weed guy, like in Albany Park especially. And then when it became legalized in Denver, I already had a friend living in Denver. And he was like, hey, bro, like, you need to come over here and take advantage of this shit. So I booked the flight the next day, went to Denver. His homie ended up selling all of his shit. So I told my homie, I was like, bro, I don't have money this isn't a vacation for me. This is like work.
Right.
You know? So like we stayed in a King Soopers parking lot and fucking Craigslist, 100 people. And at the end of the night, a lady hit us back. And then she ended up being my connect for about 5 years.
A lady.
A lady. Yeah. But it was that determination that like I needed to get this done. And I feel like I didn't let no excuses, no emotions get in the way of me needing to do what I need to do, you know?
You know what's funny? They always say weed's a gateway drug, but I feel like in your term, like in your situation, weed actually was a gateway like to network.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that could be argumentative too because like I feel like it's more personality because like I stayed away from a lot of hard drugs, you know, just
Yeah.
because like I seen how it changed my friends and I never let that like one thing about me is I never let other people's opinions dictate what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm a hard rock to move when it comes to that, you know?
I like that.
Yeah, so I feel like when you think about what other people think, you take away the energy of thinking about yourself.
We're our worst critics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like end of the day, people are just thinking about themselves, right? Everyone's insecure about something that we don't realize. But I said like gateway networking because I remember I'm gonna touch topics. You were the weed guy for everyone, so obviously your network right now is because you started selling weed at 15, 16 and you established great relationships with all these artists, band artists that you know, obviously made these friendships with. Who were one of the first people that you started selling to that became actually one of your genuine friends to this day?
So at a young age of 16, like I would hear people's music and I'd be like, I need to meet them just because like I make similar I write similarly to them or like I felt a certain way about their music. So there was this emo band called Danger Radio, and this is going to be to all my elder emo people. I served them at I think Park West when I was like 16. And then they said they were staying at some crib in Uptown. I was like, I don't live too far from there. So like we spent like a whole weekend together after like I served them that weed. And we got really close. And they went on tour and I met like bands called like My American Heart. Cute Is What We Aim For is a big one. I served all these emo bands at that age. And during that age, it was like the MySpace era. So like emo, it was fucking, the scene in emo stage was crazy, you know? So I felt really good about that. And then like, I kind of stepped back, even though like I still talk to the people from Danger Radio to this day. Like the bassist of Danger Radio, his name's Elon. He's in Seattle. He has his own recording studio called like the Ruby Room.
Okay.
Excuse me if I get it wrong. But he's done shit with like Macklemore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I think it's some guy named like Tristan Thompson. I'm not 100% sure, but like he's doing his thing over there, you know. And then like the drummer became like an A&R to like Universal, like so they all went and did big things, you know. So like I still keep in contact with them. And then I kind of used that same technique to get into like the hip hop scene a little bit later in my life. Like I would say I would be around like 22, 23.
22, 23?
Yeah.
Because I know you mentioned, who did you meet first? Who you really boys with? Was it Denzel Curry or Joey Badass first?
I met Joey first. He was performing at Reggie's and I went there and I waited till the show was done, crowd moved a little bit, and I showed him a picture of like the weed that I had and I brought them like a really good gift, you know. It was very expensive at the time. And one of the dudes took me backstage, and I lit up like a doobie like this big, you know? And then we just sat there and talked for a little bit. Like, I would say like an hour. We were just smoking and talking, and I gave him 2 ounces of weed. And then I literally like dipped the next day, and I was like, I want to keep this momentum going. Like, you know, and it also goes back to like me just gaining confidence. Like, if I set my mind to it, because I told myself like, I'm gonna meet Joey that night. Like, he's gonna be my friend. Like, and then actually doing it, that confidence grows. So like, I was like, I need to keep this momentum moving. So I looked up like where they were touring next.
Okay.
And I saw that they were touring in, I think it's ISU, somewhere south. So we drove down there, and it was a crazy route going down there, just because like I told my friend, I was like, yo, I didn't have a car at the time. So I told my friend, let's go. He took his mom's car. He has no license. The car is uninsured. We're driving with a 1/4 pound of weed. Like, it was a fucking crazy. We got stopped by sheriffs. Like, luckily everything worked in our favor. And like, I drove past Joey's bus because I got the text from the Underachievers, which is like another big band, a part of Beast Coast.
Okay.
And I heard CJ Fly, an affiliate of Pro Era, was like, I need weed. I need weed. So I heard that, and I pulled the car over, and he's like, what's up? I was like, I heard you need weed. He's like, who are you? I was like, I came to serve the Underachievers, but like, I brought hella shit, and I was with you guys yesterday. So we went on a tour bus, and we started kicking it with like all of Pro Era for about, I would say like 3 hours. And then we all went to the event together, and we went back to that hotel and just stayed on the bus till like, I would say like 4 a.m. just smoking, freestyling, chilling, talking, getting to know each other better. And ever since that moment, like, they got my numbers down, and like, we always touch base every time they come to Chicago.
Which is crazy, because then he became who he is now, right? Like, not even just him, but like everyone around him. Like, you met them at such an early stage, to the point where it's just like, you know, you build the genuine connections.
And Joey always had that star element too. Like, you could see it, like him in acting now. Like, you seen that he was much more than just a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Or artist. You know.
Do you think that actually inspired you, seeing meeting him? And like putting your mind into it. Obviously, how old were you at that point?
I was about 23, 24.
See, you were 23, 24. Right now you're 33. So doing that and putting your mind into it, do you think like that's one of the reasons why they kept you going? Like, you were just
Oh yeah,
okay.
definitely. Because I seen the, you know, the early days to the highlight days. So like them going in like minivans around, you know, to tour buses, and just being able to like meet somebody like that and have a genuine connection. Like, it's automatically, if you have talent and there's a dream that you want to do, it instills that confidence into you, you know? So it definitely instilled that confidence in me. And then like, also not just me, but like seeing like Flatbush Zombies and like the Underachievers get humongous too. Like, the Underachievers went on their own, they went from opening up for Joey to going on their own world tour.
Okay.
And one of the openers for that tour was Denzel Curry.
Okay.
So that's how I met Denzel Curry, was in the Chicago show. Like, I was like, bro, I fuck with your music. You know, he was surprised. He's like, damn, you listen to it? I was like, bro, you're going to kill it here, you know? And then ever since that day, like, we always touch base, you know what I'm saying? I met his manager. I'm really cool with his manager. And then also watching Denzel go from the opening act to now closing out Lala is crazy. You know, like, it's crazy, like, being behind the scenes watching this. And like, during the time, I've always had a kind of like dilemma with timing and my music, because I showed you, like, I have tons of music, you know, like, I have genres of music, you know.
You showed me a music video yesterday from like 8 years ago, and I'm just like, damn, bro.
Yeah, and that was on Fake Shore Drive and Two Dope Boys and Pigeons and Planes, you know. So like, I had a little traction going for me. And like, I think, like you said, you know, ourselves are our worst critics. I just, like, for some reason had an argument with time. Like, it's just not my time. It's just not my time.
Well, so you've been doing this for more than 10 years, obviously, and you've been having music and all this stuff. So 10 years ago was different with social media, right? It was still new, and it was still establishing itself, like Instagram and all these other marketing now apps. So back then, I keep hearing world tours. I keep hearing like posters, all this stuff. You had to go to the tours to actually get known. So what makes it different now to make yourself more established? Because if you release your music now, obviously it's not going to be the same as 10 years ago marketing yourself.
No, I would say the difference definitely is, like, I feel like with music nowadays, it's much harder to find good things, just because there's an ocean filled of like bad things, you know what I'm saying? Or just like not your style, you know? So like, I feel like when you're scrolling through Instagram, and especially like with paid sponsorships and all these things, you're going to get a bunch of like people who shouldn't be doing music. And I don't mean to be like insulting, but like I'm being real, like, and I can only be myself. But like there's a lot of people who shouldn't do music, you know, and I'm just like, oh, like, and it frustrates me so much, you know. And I feel like it's just the ear has become less fluent with listening to full songs. Like people just want reels or like
TikTok song.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
TikTok influenced that a lot. And like I would say like one of my biggest like flaws too is like I just don't like social media. Like I'm a very social person. I'm not a social media person, you know?
Yeah.
So like I feel like that's always been my flaw, but just always wanted to find the right sound has been something that I've been trying to do, that when I put it on Instagram and all these things actually run through it, people are going to be like, damn, that shit's dope. Because everybody like I've showed my music to so far is like, that's different and that's dope.
Yeah.
That's blended, like
Yeah.
of different genres and different styles, you know? So like I always wanted that. And for some reason, like just growing up being an emo kid, I always wanted to do something with a live band. I didn't want to just be up there with a mic and a DJ, you know? So
Yeah, you switched it up. You did switch it up a bit. Like I told you, when I was hearing your music, you were showing me different versions of it. And I'm just like, I'm hearing different instruments that I haven't heard in a while. But also, too, it makes me think. I don't know how to word it. It's like when you smell something, it reminds you of a
memory.
a memory.
Yeah.
When I heard your music, I would like days off, and then it would remind me, like, for some reason, certain music would just remind me of like I'm in a campfire with friends, but having a great time. Like I don't know, like in high school. But it would remind me like good times. Even though if there was like a certain song you showed me that was supposed to be sad, it still remind me of good memories, even with my ex.
So that's the whole point of our music, is like we really have like our lyrics are very sad. Some of them,
Yeah.
most of them, I would say,
Some words
are sad, but we keep the tempo of the music
Yeah.
very uplifting, very friendly, very inviting, very groovy. You know what I'm saying? So like it kind of balances it out. And we try to keep that balance. Balance is a big word in my life, and I always try to keep it a part of me. And I feel like I use it in music too. Like, you know, nobody wants to listen to a sad song all the time, but somebody could manage a sad song if it was a little bit more upbeat. You know, so I try to keep it like that. You know,
Which is different because I've interviewed like multiple artists now, and yeah, like I'm not disrespecting or like taking their hard work from it, but like I feel like you're more actual detailed on each pitch, on each instrument, on each thing. Like you're making sure everything's perfected, so the person, like the consumer, myself, can actually feel a certain way.
and it's also too like in my band. So there's Andre, who's he's a drummer, but he doesn't drum for us. He's a R&B singer.
Okay.
And then I have my friend Tello, who plays guitar, bass, drums, and sings.
Okay.
But he's mainly our guitarist and singer. And then I have my friend Jamie, who's the other guitarist. And it's just us four. We're plugging and picking people in the midst of everything. But I have to write not only for myself, but for Tello and then for Andre. So like I feel like being attention to detail is like they kind of give me the opportunity to do that. And I think like me personally, I knock it out the park just because like in our songs, like just the blend of all the voices sound really good together, you know?
Which is actually bizarre. But have you written for people? Like, have you charged people for it?
I've done it a couple times, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say who, but like I have, you know, like, but I don't like writing for other people personally, just because I'm like, fuck, I should have kept that shit for myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. Or like I'll write it and I'll be like, nah, I want to keep that for myself. And I'll try to write another one and it not be as good. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to give this up. You know what I'm saying? I'm very selfish when it comes to like my art, you know, like, I don't ever want to sell out. I want to be myself originally the entire time, you know?
So at what age then did you start telling yourself, okay, you know what, Tony? It's time to actually start putting a little bit of effort into this.
So I've known since about like 24 in recording studios. I kind of like stuck myself in my engineer's studio, which was called the Grindhouse at the time. And his name's Dr. Mindbender. He's a pretty big producer and beat maker out there. He's working with like Vic Spencer and, you know, like he fucks with a good amount of people, especially like rappers in Chicago. But he became my roommate. But what I did was literally sit myself in the studio for like from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I would bring all the smoke, obviously, because I have marijuana.
Right.
And I'd be hanging out with all the artists, watching them do what they do. And then once I studied them for enough time, I was like, okay, I know what to do. And I got the confidence. And then that's when like I started rapping more, like doing more, experimenting with my voice. Because sometimes it's like you could write and freestyle all you want, but when you go in the studio and hear your own voice, it kind of fucks with you at the beginning point,
Yeah.
you know? So like you got to get used to hearing your own voice. So like I practice that like a lot with him. And then I feel like I've always taken it seriously. It's just when's like the argument with timing, you know, when's my time to actually do this, you know? And I feel like some people are going to say like, well, it's never the right time. You just got to do it or this. And like, I disagree because I feel like right away you could catch a wave or you could get big. Like how many one hit wonders have 2 songs and then they're fizzled out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so like, I feel like timing is very important. And I feel like right now is the right time just because I told you like everything's so saturated, like it's really not that great. So like I want to provide something that's like new to people's ears, because when I hear music that like that's new to me and I love, I'm like, damn, this shit's it's refreshing,
Right.
you know? So like I want to bring that refreshness to people's ears again.
I like that, and I feel like it's very authentic of you doing it, because you told me back maybe like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, there was a contract involved where they told you have to do like a certain style, like drill.
Yeah. And I didn't really like, I wasn't really a drill person, you know? I did a video to it too, and it was just like, it wasn't me. Like, and like, it kind of like early on, I was just like, this isn't me, you know? Like even throughout the whole process of doing it, like I was like, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it more my style, you know?
Right.
And it's just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that.
But that's
you
to
know?
show you too, like people, like they get offered a contract, a certain amount of money, they switch up their style and forget about their beliefs.
Yeah.
And then they become a mannequin to selling their soul in the industry. Right. But you said not to that, and you were younger too, and you chose to say no and chose the path you're in right now.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever sell out, and my soul is something that's very important to me, you know? Like I'm very spiritual in that sense. So like I don't think I could ever do that, and like I wouldn't want any of my bandmates to do that, because I feel like I gotta lead, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I gotta lead with action. So when they see my actions, they're gonna be like, okay, if he's doing it, then like I gotta follow suit.
For sure.
You know, so it's one of those things, and it's just like integrity, you know, like
Yeah.
like my mom raised me right, so like I want to, like I said, we're all beings of memory, and I want people to remember me by being a nice person, and then also having the nicest music, you know. So like I want that in their ears. I don't want to leave like just like, you know, like angry songs or songs that are like saying like fuck bitches, get money. Like I don't want to do that, because I don't want that to be my legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though I got a couple songs that say that, but, you know.
Well, no. I know that, you know, I know what you're trying to portray.
But that's not the message, you know. Like you could have a couple songs and it still not be the message. But if that's all you rap about and talk about, then that's the message, you know. So there's a difference between the two.
So like, okay, I'm gonna ask these questions too, of course, you know, for clipping wise. But so since you're like very good boys with Denzel Curry and Joey Badass, obviously you could ask for a feature, and I know you mentioned that you choose not to because you would like to actually pave your own way.
And I also feel like I do want to pave my own way, and I want to show them that like I'm skillful and talented enough to do it, and then bring my own crowd. And then I feel like when I do that, they'll respect me more as an artist, instead of just going to them be like, hey, can you help me with my first joint? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And then like, let's say that first joint gets big and then there's nothing else afterwards, you know? Like, no, you got to build a foundation first before you put the roof on it, you know? Like, so it's one of those things that I wanted to build a foundation, you know?
I know one of the interviews I think I shot with you at the studio, you said that you would want to get signed by, I think it was Denzel Curry's label?
Denzel just opened up his own, like, I don't know if it's a label or like an art thing, but it's called Ultraground. And I see them doing big things, and, you know, I see them doing a lot of shit with talented people. So like I want to get myself big enough where that I present it to Denzel, he's gonna be like, okay, I fucks with you, bro. You know, I'll try to do a Denzel voice, but yeah, you know, like that's what I want to do. Like, but regardless, I have a couple other labels in my mind too, you know what I'm saying? It's whatever the timing and opportunity meet each other, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when I'll make the decision of where I want to take my music to. And I feel blessed that I have options to do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it goes back to you, like just building myself from like 16, 17, selling marijuana to now like knowing all these people.
For sure.
And being able to put it in the right hands.
For sure. So like meeting these connections is actually really dope. And you said you've always been a social guy. So in continuing right now, you're 33 right now, going further. What do you see yourself doing then with your music that you've unreleased? Like, are you just gonna hide some of it, or are you just gonna release all of it at once?
So no, I'm going to. So our band is called Something About Seasons, and so like how we came up with the band is because we all have different genres. So we want the genre that fits the season the most.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, like let's say like summer is gonna be more me, like hip hop ish, and then, you know, Andre the R&B singer, he'll get like the fall, springtime, you know, and then Tello will get the winter time, the more like indie alternative vibes, you know. So I literally told him, I was like, hey, we got to come up with a band name that's something about seasons. And they stopped at me and they're like, something about seasons, you know? And so that kind of stick. So that's what we're doing with that. Like we're doing probably like 2 songs each season. We just got the first song for the spring, but it's looking like it's going to be closer to summer, spring with the way the video editing is because we just shot it. That song is an amazing song. Like I love it. I think it's a great mix of all of us together, you know, and I think it's it shows like I told you, like people don't like complex things anymore. It's a very simple song lyrically.
Okay.
But the instruments in the back lead up. So there's a lead up to it. There's like, it's 1 guitar and then it's 2 guitars and then it's 3 guitars, you know? So it's a build up. And I kind of like that, you know, like the idea of doing something that's very simple, but then doing the music behind it is a little more intricate.
So have you gotten anything since, dude, is you're like I said, I keep bringing this up, like you're 33 right now, like now since you're going full on with the music and then now you know it's your right timing, have you ever had like anyone actual like yo Tony, like wrap it up, no music, like wrap it up?
Yes and no. You're always gonna have people like that, and I feel like your friends and your friend group are gonna be the ones that be like, you're really trying to do this, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you're gonna get more love from the outside. But I never let out, like I said, I never let outside talk influence what I want to do. I feel like I'm just as determined as I am 23, you know? And I think I'm more mature. And financially, one of the things I want to do is bring these bands and artists that I love to perform and then get the money from the ticket sales and then open up for them. So not only am I making money, I'm also getting free marketing.
Which is what you're trying to do in your backyard too as well.
Yeah, in my backyard. So, quick thing, we're doing something called Project Indigo in my backyard. My backyard's humongous, by the way. He can contest to it. I have a jacuzzi. We're making it super dope. About 150 to 200 people. We're doing different chefs. We have 2 bars back there. We're gonna have a weed tent, so it's gonna be like a Sunday event, Sunday fun day type of thing. And then eventually start incorporating music into it. And I have a couple artists right now that like I'm in the talks with that like have agreed to it or just like, you know, like are open to it, you know? And just as well as doing it in the just venues like that. Cause I have a bunch of friends that like would sell out, like, you know, Sleeping Village and shit like that. So like I definitely want to get busy with performing, like I would say around October.
Okay. So it sounds more like you actually want to be your own label in some sense. Like, yeah, you're going to make your music and do that, but I feel like you actually want to help not the rappers, but musicians out more. So I feel like you're going to go more through that path to actually establish a label to help these artists. I
also feel like I've found musicians when they're like barely starting out and then they start to blow up, you know? And it's just I search relentlessly for new music, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I could proudly say that like I find these people just because like there's so much bad shit right now. So it's not a one-day process. Like sometimes it takes me like 3 weeks to find like a band that I actually like that I haven't listened to already, because you need new music to fuel different ideas, you know? Because I have tons of bands that I love, you know, but I'm saying as far as anything new, you know?
For sure.
So, yeah, I try to find them early and then build a connection with them and just tell them like anything you need in Chicago, I got you, you know?
Having the eye for that is really difficult. I just don't know how I don't know. And the music scene is so difficult to see like who has it, who doesn't, who can you invest in, who can't you, who can you trust, who can you not trust, who's going to help you fuck you over, you know?
I also think like I've been like, since we're doing like a band, I've been going the more indie route. So like it's a little cooler people, less ego, you know, because hip hop could definitely have its ego, you know? So it's balancing the two out. So, and it's just knowing how to read people too, you know, just seeing how their energy. Sometimes people take my gifts and they're like, hell yeah, thank you, I fuck with you, bro, and then that's it, you know?
Yeah, there we go.
And then some people are just like, hey, stay, let me get your number, let me, you know, genuine type of things. I'm like, okay, cool, like, you know, like I'll scratch my back, I scratch your back, you know, type shit. So
100%. But what's it called? I mean, Tony. So I know you're doing the backyard, and I know you're doing the music now. So are we gonna? When is the first song we're gonna get? Like, what's the first song you think you're gonna put out first? And when is it gonna be released?
So we want to come up with very creative names. So we're still in the ins and outs about what the name of the song is going to be. If I were to name it something simple, it would be called I Remember.
Okay.
But yeah, we're trying to come up with something a little more, artistic than that. So we're still in the talks with that. It's in the editing stage right now. So I would say in about 3 weeks, I would give it 3 weeks. We should have the video out. And then
that's the one we shot with me and Hurst in there, right?
Yeah, that was at Foundry. I believe that's a rental place that my friend works at. So like they let us use it. Shout out to them. But yeah, it was an amazing video, to be honest with you. Like we did like a rooftop scene. We did like a kind of like a bar cinematic scene, and we did like a live band scene inside. And I feel like when I'm in that element, I feel like it just comes natural to me. And like even like people around me were like, bro, I didn't know you were that good, like with a mic, and like that you did shit like that. And I was just like, I feel very comfortable in front of crowds and just performing in general. So like it's nothing new. Like to me, just because I've been backstage so long that I'm ready for my moment. I'm like that person on the bench that's like itching to come out the bench and like, score my first 3-pointer,
Well, I like that because you said about the confidence part, and I feel like that's very important. So yesterday we were talking, you were just like, I don't want to sound like a narcissist. I can't pronounce it. Narcissistic tongue twister. But like arrogant. I mean, you don't want to come off like that.
Yeah, I never want to come off like that,
But like I feel like people confuse it all the time because I'm just like, when you're telling me and putting all this music and having all the experience, I'm just like, there's no reason to be arrogant about feeling like you are arrogant. It's just like you have so much experience with this that you're so confident that you're just better than most of these artists.
And I also feel like it's not so the message, it's delivery. So like it's one of those things, and how I try to present myself, because I want to have a genuine connection with like all my fans. Like I don't want it to seem like I'm too good, or like no matter how big I am, I'm never gonna be like, oh, those fans, no, like
me, Hurston, want a photo and you say fuck off.
Yeah, exactly, that type of shit. Like I hate that shit personally. So like I would never want to be like that. Like I would always want to greet everybody and just make them feel like they know me. And that's one thing like I always try to do with my music, is like make music that people could feel like they know me, because it's real and it's authentic. So, and I use everything in my life's elements to write whatever the given subject is of that song. So I try to make people feel me. Like you even said, like, your song like reminded me of my ex-girlfriend, but it didn't make me sad. At least I touched you and you could relate to me now, because we have something similar as far as like breakups and just heartbreak.
Yeah, for sure. Even though I'm telling you, I don't know, your music was a little different. Throughout this video, I'm gonna pop up, if you want to, like, you send me some of the music, I'm gonna pop it up in some reels and stuff, because it was actually really cool. Like the visuals, not even the visuals, but just, I don't know, like the melody, the beats, everything, the rhythm. But Tony, like I said, like 30 to 45 minutes I wanted to make this. Is there anything else that we should be aware of, or something you would want to say before?
I would say just look out for us when the song actually drops and show us support. We're going to be doing shows soon. Like I said, I got the events in my backyard coming up. There's a lot of great positive things that you're going to come and meet a bunch of positive people too. Sometimes wrong crowds make people not want to return. And I want to create a vibe that's just fitting and inviting for everybody. So I feel like just look out. Like I said, the band's name is called Something About Seasons. I'm called Tony Esco. Yeah, man, a lot of positive and bright things coming in the future. So like I personally just can't wait. Like I said throughout this whole thing, timing, I feel like now it's my time, and I'm saying that with the most humbling way I could possibly say.
Humbling, but also too, you're just so confident that this is your time. Like you said, you're itching for it, man.
I'm itching for it, and I'm ready. Like I'm ready. Like you don't understand, just sitting back for almost 12 to 13 years, just watching everything, and even I would say even more, like 16, like seeing the bands and stuff. I remember like falling asleep in my bed, I would always listen to my iPod and pretend like I'm playing other people's music. And I feel like me imagining that, and then now me actually doing it, like that's what made me prepared.
It's bizarre. Manifestation's really a real thing. But all right, Tony, man, thank you for hopping on here. So like I said, guys, go watch the Handy podcast, The Art of War. Do that. We're probably going to get canceled because we talked about, the truth. But
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine, toes backwards. But yeah, In Your 20s show, Tony Esco. Thank you, boys.